Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. This time we're going to be looking at the Gate of Echoes. Have you heard of this one?
Oh yeah, this is one I've been following for a while now. Um, I think it's really interesting how it takes like the urban fantasy and blends it with like this coming of age story. And it's all set in Seoul, South Korea.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I was really drawn to that setting too. And I think it adds a really unique flavor to the whole thing. So like what happens when these mysterious gates just start appearing all over the place and unleashing these monsters?
Yeah, right, like out of nowhere. And like what's cool is that the story focuses on this kind of average student named Jihoon. He's just going about his normal day. And then bam, a gate opens right near his school.
Oh, wow. So it's like he gets caught right in the middle of it all.
Yeah, exactly. Like talk about wrong place, wrong time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So like how does the story set this up?
Well, one of the things I thought was really effective was how it starts with this like really mundane morning routine for Jihoon. He's got a note from his mom on the fridge. He's running a little bit late for school. It's all very relatable. And it's like that calm before the storm.
Right, it kind of lulls you into this sense of normalcy. So when the gate does appear, it's even more jarring. Like he's just walking to school, taking his usual route, and then suddenly this massive shimmering distortion is just hanging in the air.
Yeah, it's not just like a doorway or a portal. It's described as this almost like hypnotic presence with these like pulsating waves of light and this palpable vibration. You can like almost feel the energy coming off of it.
Wow, that sounds intense. And kind of ominous too, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then things get even crazier.
Oh, how so?
Well, Jihoon starts hearing this voice in his head is saying awakening, and suddenly he's on his knees and these like system alerts are popping up in his vision, almost like something straight out of a video game.
Whoa, wait a minute. So is this like that lit RPG genre I've heard about?
Exactly. Literary role-playing game. It's where they take elements from like video games, like experience points, levels, skill trees and stuff, and they kind of weave it into the narrative.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So like the characters can actually see their stats and skills.
Yeah, pretty much. It adds this whole other dimension to the story.
That's pretty cool. So what kinds of skills does Ji-hoon unlock?
Well, the two we see right away are called Echo Sanctuary and Reverberate.
Hmm. Echo Sanctuary and Reverberate. Those sound interesting.
Yeah, they definitely hint at powers that are connected to sound and resonance.
I see. I see. So what happens next?
Okay, so right as all this is happening, this infamous S-rank hunter, his name is Sion Minju, he shows up on the scene.
Wait, Sond Rank Hunter. What does that even mean?
Oh yeah, good question. So hunters are basically these individuals, they have like special abilities, and they deal with the threats that come out of the gates.
Okay, so they're like the protectors.
Yeah, something like that, and they're ranked based on their power and experience.
Uh-huh.
So like S rank is the highest you can get.
So this Seong Minju guy must be pretty powerful then.
Oh, he's like the top of the food chain, and the fact that he shows up here means things are about to get serious.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, and here's another interesting thing. He actually senses Jihoon's awakening.
Really?
Yeah, which tells us he's incredibly perceptive.
Wow, so he's got like a sixth sense or something?
Yeah, you could say that. He's definitely not your average hunter.
Okay, so we've got Ji-hoon with his newfound powers, and this super powerful S-rank hunter just showed up. What happens next?
Well, just when you think things couldn't get any crazier, these snake-like monsters come bursting out of the gate.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's complete chaos. People are screaming, running for their lives. And Jihoon, completely on instinct, he activates his Echo Sanctuary skill.
So he just like does it without even thinking.
Yeah, it's like a reflex. He creates
Oh.
this dome-like barrier. It protects him and like a bunch of other people who were nearby.
That's amazing. So he ends up saving them?
Yeah, totally. But here's the thing. He has no idea what he's doing.
He's just winging it.
Pretty much.
That's pretty brave of him, though.
Oh, absolutely. He's just thrown into this crazy situation. And he acts without hesitation to protect others.
That's really cool.
It's like his first instinct is to help.
That's got to say something about his character, right?
Yeah, for sure. It shows us he might be more heroic than he realizes.
Okay, so he creates this barrier. And what about the monsters? And Xiong Min Yu?
Well, Xion Minyu just steps in. And in the blink of an eye, all the monsters are dust.
Whoa, seriously.
Yeah, like he didn't even break a sweat.
Wow, talk about a skill gap, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So what happens to Ji-hoon after all this?
Well, the guild arrives. They're like this organization that oversees the hunters.
Okay,
And they start testing Jihoon's abilities.
I see.
And based on what they see, they provisionally classify him as a support hunter.
A support hunter.
Hmm.
But his powers seem so unique, though. I'm not sure that label really fits.
Yeah, I kind of get what you mean. It's like they're trying to put him in a box, but he doesn't really fit neatly into any of their existing categories.
Right.
And in fact, the story mentions that their testing equipment was having trouble understanding his abilities.
Really?
Yeah, they were getting readings they'd never seen before.
Huh. So even the experts are baffled.
Pretty much.
Okay, so we've got this mysterious new hunter with these unique powers, and even the guild doesn't fully understand him.
Exactly.
He's getting good. So what happens next?
Well, Ji-hoon starts training with Seon Minju. He's learning how to control his Ego Sanctuary.
Okay, that makes sense.
But there's still a lot of mystery surrounding his other skill.
You mean reverberate?
Yeah, we don't really get any clues about what it can do.
That's definitely intriguing. I wonder what kind of power it could be.
Yeah, it's like a hidden potential waiting to be unlocked.
I like it. So while he's training and figuring out his powers, is he able to go back to like his normal life?
Well, he's trying, but it's definitely not easy. He talks to his mom, who's obviously worried sick. He sees the news coverage of the gate incident. It's like he's trying to hold on to some sense of normalcy, even though his whole world has been turned upside down.
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
It really highlights that clash between the ordinary and the extraordinary, which is a big theme in this genre.
Right. It makes you think about how you would react in that situation.
For sure.
Okay, so where do we leave off at the end of these first 2 episodes?
Well, things are definitely heating up. The gate is acting erratically. There's talk of sending in a raid team.
Oh, wow. So the stakes are getting higher.
Yeah, and to make things even more interesting, Ji-hoon is starting to sense that his powers are somehow connected to the gate itself.
Wait, what? His powers are connected to the gate.
That's what it seems like.
Wow, this is getting really good. Okay, so we've got this unstable gate, a potential raid team, and our main character, who might be the key to everything. I can't wait to see where this goes.
Me either. This story is just getting started.
Okay, well, before we dive into all the crazy possibilities and implications of all this, I think it's worth taking a closer look at how the author uses sensory details to really draw us into this world. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that really stood out to me was how the author brings the gate to life. It's not just like this abstract concept. You really feel its presence.
Oh, in what way?
Well, like through the descriptions of the pulsating lights and the vibrations and even this like unsettling hum that seems to like permeate everything.
Wow, so it's almost like the gate is a character itself.
Exactly. It's not just a backdrop. It's an active force that's shaping the story.
That's really cool. And that attention to detail extends to other things too, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like the descriptions of the monsters, their slimy scales, their dripping fangs. It's all very vivid and visceral.
Yeah, and even the way Ji-hoon's own powers manifest.
Right, like that ringing in his ears when he activates Echo Sanctuary.
Yeah.
It's like you can almost hear the story unfolding.
It's like we're experiencing it through Ji-hoon's heightened senses.
Exactly.
And it's not just about like the big flashy moments either.
Right.
The story uses those sensory details to evoke emotions and atmosphere too.
Yeah, there's this one moment that really struck me. It's when Ji-hoon returns home after the gate incident. And he's surrounded by all these like normal everyday sounds, the traffic, the birds chirping, the kids playing. But to him, it all feels surreal.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that.
It's like the contrast between the crisis he just faced and the mundane reality of his life. It just highlights the profound impact of the experience.
Yeah, and it makes you think about how you would react in a similar situation.
Totally. Would you be able to just go back to normal after witnessing something so extraordinary?
That's a really good question.
Okay, well, I think it's time we shift gears a bit and start exploring some of the broader implications of all this.
Yeah, let's get into the really juicy stuff.
All right, so we've established the groundwork. Now let's dive into the deeper layers of the Gate of Echoes.
Sounds good to me. Okay, so we've got these gates and monsters and hunters, but it's not just like, bam, instant superpowers. The story really emphasizes how much effort it takes to actually control these abilities.
Oh, for sure. Like in Ji-hoon's training with Seong Min-yu, we see him struggling with fatigue, the intense focus required to maintain Echo Sanctuary. It's not easy.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of learning any complex skill, whether it's playing an instrument or a sport or whatever. It takes time and practice and dedication.
Exactly. There's no instant mastery, even in a world with superpowers.
And that's where the mentor dynamic comes in. Jeong Min-yu's guidance is so important for Ji-hoon. He's patient, he understands the challenges, and he offers really insightful advice.
Yeah, like there's this one line I love where Seong Min-ju tells Ji-hoon, "Control comes from understanding. You must learn to listen to the echoes within yourself, as keenly as you listen to the world around you."
Oh, wow, that's deep.
Yeah, it's not just about technique, it's about self-awareness, almost like a meditative approach to using these sound-based powers.
Right, it's like finding that balance between the internal and the external.
Exactly.
Which brings us back to the mystery of reverberate. We still know so little about it.
Yeah, it's like a big question mark hanging over the story.
But the name itself is so suggestive.
Right. It hints at something powerful, something that could change everything.
We've talked about the possibilities. Offense, defense, even environmental manipulation.
But what if it's something even deeper than that?
Like what?
What if it's the key to understanding Ji-hoon's connection to the gate?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like a way to tap into its power on a whole other level.
That could be huge.
It could completely change the game.
Not just for Ji-hoon, but for the entire world.
Right.
But let's not forget, he's still just a teenager, trying to process all of this.
Yeah, the story does a great job of grounding these extraordinary events in the reality of Ji-hoon's everyday life.
He's dealing with his mom's worries, the whispers and stares from classmates, the constant news coverage.
It's a lot to handle.
Yeah, it's that clash between the ordinary and the extraordinary that makes the story so relatable. We see Ji-hoon trying to cling to normalcy, to connect with his friends and family, even as he's being pulled further into this world of hunters and gates.
It's like he's trying to reconcile these two parts of his life.
Right. And it makes you wonder how any of us would react in that situation.
Yeah, it's a question worth pondering.
Okay, so we've got Ji-hoon struggling to find his place in this new world. And there's still the looming threat of the gate.
Right, it's still active, its energy is fluctuating unpredictably.
And there's talk of sending in a raid team.
Yeah, which adds another layer of tension to the story.
It's like those external threats mirror Ji-hoon's internal struggles. The gate's unpredictable nature reflects his own uncertainty about his powers and his future.
That's a good point. It creates this parallel between the personal and the global, suggesting that maybe mastering oneself is the key to controlling the larger forces at play.
That's pretty deep.
It's not just about fighting monsters, it's about understanding the echoes within, both literally and metaphorically.
And speaking of echoes, one of the things that really stood out to me was how the author uses sound imagery to create such a vivid and immersive experience.
Oh, absolutely. The descriptions are so evocative. You can almost hear the story unfolding.
Yeah, like the pulsating sum of the gate, the slittering hiss of the snake-like monsters, even the way Ji-hoon's powers manifest.
Right, with that ringing in his ears that builds to a crescendo.
It's like we're experiencing it all through his heightened senses.
Exactly.
And it's not just about the loud dramatic sounds either. There are these subtle details too. Like the way the world seems unnaturally quiet to Ji-hoon after the gate incident.
Yeah, I remember that.
Or the echoing footsteps in his dreams that seem to hint at a deeper connection to the gate itself.
Those dream sequences are really interesting. They tap into the subconscious, suggesting that maybe Ji-hoon's powers are influencing his dreamscape.
It's like his abilities are bleeding into his subconscious, maybe revealing things he doesn't consciously understand yet.
Right.
Could the dreams be a way for the gate to communicate with him?
Or are they just a manifestation of his anxieties and the immense pressure he's facing?
It's hard to say for sure, but that's what makes it so compelling.
It's like the story is inviting us to explore these possibilities, to delve deeper into the symbolism and the psychological implications of these sound-based powers.
And that's where the Gate of Echoes really excels. It's not just a story about superpowers and fighting monsters. It's an exploration of self-discovery and responsibility, and the profound impact of facing the unknown.
And it's all rendered with such a detail and depth that it feels incredibly real and immersive.
It's a story that stays with you, makes you think.
And leaves you wanting more.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about the world, the characters, the sensory details, the emotional weight of the story. Now it's time to get to the heart of it all. The mysteries, the implications, the potential consequences of Ji-hoon's connected to the gate.
Yeah, let's dive into the deep end.
Let's explore why all of this matters, and what it might mean for Ji-hoon and the world he's now a part of. So we keep coming back to this connection between Ji-hoon and the gate. It's like it's calling to him, right?
Yeah, it's almost like it's seeking him out, rather than the other way around.
Yeah, he feels drawn to it. He senses its vibrations. He even dreams about it.
Those dream sequences are really interesting, like those echoing halls he keeps seeing.
Right, it's like they're connected on a deeper level than even Ji-hoon himself understands.
And this kind of flips the whole hero's journey idea on its head. You know, instead of seeking out power, the power is seeking him out.
Right, which is kind of unsettling when you think about it, especially considering how unstable the gate is.
Yeah, I mean, what if everyone has the potential to awaken these abilities, but it takes something like the gate to trigger it?
That's a pretty wild thought.
And it raises the question of control, you know? Is Ji-hoon really in control of his powers, or is he just along for the ride?
Yeah, and considering what Seong-min Yu said about Ji-hoon's powers resonating with the gate, it makes you wonder what the nature of their connection really is.
Right. Could he potentially stabilize the gate? Or even close it?
Or could it be the opposite? Could the gate's influence corrupt him somehow?
That's a scary thought.
Yeah, it's like he's walking this tightrope between being a savior and becoming a threat.
And what makes it even more interesting is that he's still just a teenager trying to figure out who he is.
Right. He's dealing with all this crazy stuff, but he's also just a kid trying to navigate life.
He's got school, he's got his mom, he's got his friends.
Yeah, and the story doesn't shy away from those aspects of his life.
It shows him calling his mom, talking to his friend about the gate incident, even watching the news coverage.
It's like he's trying to ground himself in the familiar.
Even though his whole world has been turned upside down.
And those human connections are so important. They make his journey relatable, even with all the fantastical elements.
Yeah, it reminds us that even in the face of the extraordinary, the ordinary still matters.
Right, and those connections might be what ultimately help him as he faces the challenges ahead.
He's got Sion Minyu as a mentor, his mom who clearly loves and supports him. Even his classmates are starting to see him differently.
He's not alone in this.
And that's a powerful message about the importance of community.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of different things, but there are still some big questions hanging in the air. What is Reverberate? How will it manifest? How will Ji-hoon's connection to the gate evolve?
Will he be the savior everyone's hoping for? Or will he become something to be feared?
The Gate of Echoes leaves us with a lot to think about.
It's not just about cool powers and battles. It's about choices and responsibility, and what it means to be human in a world that's anything but ordinary.
And I think that's what makes this story so compelling. It's both exciting and thought-provoking, and it leaves you wanting more. So if you haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend giving The Gate of Echoes a read.
You might just find yourself resonating with Ji-hoon's journey.
And the echoes of this fantastical world. Until next time, keep exploring. 74.